Harry's Wife, Part 101.36. The Glitch. Sad face, not found. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. I'm continuing to educate you about narcissism using various examples, and of course, the Queen's funeral provided us with another opportunity to observe and comment upon the behaviours of Harry's wife. As you know from my previous work, an event that is about the narcissist is all good for the narcissist. If it is the narcissist's birthday, for example, the attendance of those guests, complimenting the narcissist, wishing them happy birthday, singing happy birthday to them, bringing gifts, bringing food, talking about how good they look for their age, whatever it might be, is all pure positive fuel. The guests signal that they're under control, and their comments, behaviours and observations provide fuel to the narcissist. The narcissist is receiving large amounts of fuel because it's proximate, in person. It comes from a range of sources, from non-intimate secondary sources, friends and family, possibly colleagues, and possibly also an intimate partner of some nature, secondary or primary source, and therefore varies in potency with regard to the fuel from moderate up to highly potent. There's the possibility of character trait acquisition and, of course, residual benefits, being given gifts and having an occasion, a do, an ease up. All is good. All eyes are on the narcissist. Therefore, in the circumstances, it's all about them. There isn't a problem. However, if it's somebody else's birthday, that presents a problem to the narcissist. All eyes are on somebody else. The fuel that should be going to the narcissist is going elsewhere. Of course, the person whose birthday it is may not be a narcissist and doesn't need fuel, but that's irrelevant in the world of the narcissist. Their attention, their compliments, their praise, their oohs, their ahs, their laughter, the giving of gifts, whatever it might be, is all going, in the world of the narcissist, to the wrong person, and this causes wounding. The narcissism must act to reject and nullify this threat to control posed by all eyes being on somebody else. And dependent upon fuel levels, the extent of the wounding, and of course, the sub-school of narcissist, the response may vary from being charming and sidling over and taking the arm of the birthday boy or birthday girl, planting a kiss on their cheek and chatting to them, and thus almost subsuming them into the narcissist so that eyes are on both the birthday person and the narcissist. A more evolved narcissist would behave that way. In other instances, it might be stamping the foot and taking it out on the intimate partner that has attended with the narcissist, or sitting in a corner sulking. In some instances, it's not turning up at all, and in others, it's going over and knocking over the birthday cake or putting a foot through one of the birthday gifts. It all varies. For Harry's wife, of course, a possibility could have been that she would not attend the funeral, not because she had been told that she wasn't welcome, but simply that her narcissism dictated, in order to avoid the massive wounding she would experience by everything being about Queen Elizabeth, she just wouldn't attend. However, the opportunity for gathering fuel and, of course, facade management dictated that was not an appropriate response, and therefore she attended. I'll be explaining in a separate video precisely how she felt throughout, but the point is, it was necessary for her to bring attention back onto herself. And one of the ways in which this occurred was the much-covered leaking of the eye that occurred. Now, I will be explaining in the next video why she was crying in the way that she did. Here, I'm going to be explaining to you the facial expression that appeared at that moment. You can see it in the thumbnail and on the screen, that it's looking like somebody isn't actually there. Why? Her narcissism has glitched again. If you have not watched my brilliant video about the imitation game, I would encourage you to do so. That explains to you how the narcissism selects, if you will, a bundle, a package of response for the narcissist to use in certain instances, and explains sometimes it goes missing, sometimes the wrong one is selected, and there is sometimes a delay, and sometimes a noticeable delay between the response of the narcissist and what's going on around them. Do watch that video. It's hugely instructive, the imitation game. Here, because she has no emotional empathy, her narcissism has to select her appropriate responses. Remember, because she's a mid-range narcissist, the facade management is occurring, whereby she is not going to jump up on a pew, hitch up her skirt, and start singing on Mother Kelly's doorstep. Her narcissism doesn't operate that way. Furthermore, she's not going to engage in the sudden run to the coffin, beating her fists on it and saying, "Oh, granny-in-law, how I miss you, how I miss you. Oh, this is a terrible day," with much wailing and gnashing of teeth. The facade would not allow that. But what it does need to do is cause her to look as though she's upset. And I'll be explaining in the next video precisely what's going on in terms of is she upset or not. But here, there needs to be the appearance of being upset. And unfortunately for her, notwithstanding the fact that she's an actress, and of course, as we know, she has boasted about being able to summon up a tear out of one eye in a matter of 30 seconds, here, her narcissism was left wanting. You could see on the faces of other mourners emotion, from stoic determination, from grief, to upset, to just about keeping it together. But here, the look is one whereby the lights are off, there's nobody home, staring impassively into the distance, no lowering of the head. It's a rigid response. And here, it's because there's no emotional empathy to guide her in that response, and instead, she must be guided by the cognitive empathy of her narcissism. Other types of narcissists might stand there grinning, or looking around, or even sort of whistling and such like. Her facade manages to prevent that from happening. That's not her style in terms of the type of narcissist that she is. What it does do, however, is it goes away, sending that cherry picker off to the warehouse to try and find the appropriate response. And it doesn't. Rather than present something that's sad, and it doesn't need to be wailing and crying her eyes out, but it needs to be an expression that conveys that emotion of sadness, there's simply nothing there. It comes back with a nil result. And that's why you get that look of staring into the distance, the eyes dead, seeing nothing, the face expressionless. Quite simply, her narcissism has glitched at this point and hasn't been able to provide the appropriate response. Quite simply, the narcissism comes back with sad face required, sad face not found, and instead offers more or less a blank canvas. Yes, there's a tear trickling down the cheek, and I'll be explaining in the next video what all of that signifies, but it's important to see here that the response isn't of a sad face. The sad face was not found. Remember, the fact is, she can't convey genuine emotion of sadness because she actually feels no connection to the person that she's dealing with. Her narcissism tells her that she has one, but there isn't a felt connection, because we don't connect to people, we connect you to us, but not the other way around. That's part of the need for control that we have. It's also interesting that on my Twitter account, I explained with the picture of the tear to say that one swallow does not a summer make, one tear does not generate a genuine emotional reaction. Many people understood that, although it is interesting to see the response of numerous sugars who couldn't get their tiny minds around the concept of narcissism. Instead, their immediate knee-jerk result was, "What a hateful comment." No, a hateful comment would be saying something like, "What a fucking cold, callous bitch she is. She can just about muster a fucking tear. Christ almighty, I wish she'd fuck off the planet." That's a hateful comment. But of course, the small-minded shuggers, rather than actually analysing who is this making this comment about her, and realising that I'm an expert in narcissism, very few of them have bothered even to look at that. Indeed, hilariously, a couple of them said, "This makes you sound like a narcissist." No shit, Sherlock. Fancy that. But they don't look at the evidence, as we well know. They don't analyse who it is who's making the explanation, and looking at the expertise of that individual. They don't look at the evidence. They don't consider what's being stated with a rational, open mind. Instead, oh, you're commenting about Harry's wife, and it's a negative comment, therefore you're a hater. No, a negative comment doesn't make someone a hater, it's an observation. But they can't get their heads around this, and their observations lack any validity whatsoever as a consequence of this failure to have a due appreciation of the evidence and the circumstances. The point is, Harry's wife has no emotional empathy. Therefore, she can't construct a sad face on this occasion. There'd be other instances where she would be able to do so, but here the narcissism failed. It couldn't muster it up for her, and it's plain to see in the pictures that have been beamed all around the world. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.